I know that if I don't lose my head, I will win because I know what I'm called to do. I'm called to help guys and gals like you be successful to the level that you deem success is. How old are you going to be before you start to experience life like you want it? I want to tell you right now, whether you like it or not, there is a better way to do business. Hi everyone, welcome to the Business for Builders podcast. Welcome to you if you're in YouTube land. I trust you're doing well, kicking goals. My name's Max. I'm your host. I'm the CEO here at Smith & Sons in Canada. Look, as usual, like and subscribe, all that sort of wonderful stuff. And be sure to leave your comments below or questions, anything that pertains to this podcast or anything to do with construction. And be sure, if you've got any questions or queries or concerns or anything relating to construction, especially as it relates to business development within the construction sector, then feel free to give me an email at max@businessforbuilders.ca. Righto, let's get cracking. Today, as usual, want to bring some value and, give you something to think about, I guess. And, I know that developing a business is really something that happens over a period of, years, really. And it's mostly got to do with your ability to grow, your capacity to enlarge. That's always the key. I look at what I handle today and I don't think I could have handled what I'm handling right now 3 years ago. So we're all about, I often talk about bandwidth and my ability to be able to handle, the amount of demand that gets placed on me now. Compared to what that was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And no doubt you'll have a very similar story. So today, if I was going to chuck a title at this, I might say construction is a combat sport. Over the weekend, I caught the Conor McGregor Netflix doco, and, I really enjoy, watching the story and the evolution of, any kind of individual that's had success, but, in that success process, there has been dramatic failures as well. And something that Conor, says often or a couple of times throughout that doco was that, the failure is part of his success. It was just something that he had to go down that rabbit hole for whatever reason, whether it was his own ego taking him there or whatnot, because it really, it had to, it had an effect on him that made him, a better fighter. So I thought to myself, in construction, what we do is, I wouldn't say it's a physical combat sport, but it certainly is something whereby there's always something going on that is really, potentially or has the potential to hurt you in more ways than one. And so I think to myself, right, so that means we have actually got to train. And that's the thing that I find amazing about the Conor McGregor story is the guy is just, he loves going to the gym, but he certainly loves jumping in that ring also. So, he backs his mouth up a little bit. You may love him or hate him. I think he's that kind of guy. You either do love him or you do hate him. But I do respect that, the achievements that he's made, and he's now worth, $200 or $300 million or whatever the heck it is. And he's certainly done pretty well for himself as a, an early 30s dude with, 2 or 3 kids. So, look, what I thought to myself is, okay, so what is it constantly? Because I know that we've talked about overwhelm. What can I do to help restore confidence, provide total clarity to myself, inject energy, clear the mental fog, and give me a sense of control? Guys and girls, this is what I operate at a higher level when I understand what my next thing is to do. And so what we're trying to do is the overwhelm, the fatigue, the demand that's placed on us. It's like I've never been in the octagon, but I can't imagine it being a very pleasant place to be, especially when you're losing. But sometimes you can feel like Conor McGregor is sitting on your chest, just dropping bombs on your head. And that's like all of your business challenges are doing exactly that to you. And I think there's, what I've seen many of those fighters do is they are in a position where they're being dominated, but they are able to back up to the fence and they are able to get back up onto their feet and they can provide a defense. And so, you might be laying there on the mat and you've just got your business or situations within your business dropping bombs on your head and you feel like this is unwinnable. And so, I'd like to think that I can help you get through that, but I'd also like to encourage you that if you haven't been through that, or you haven't seen that, or you haven't sort of enjoyed the pain of that, then you maybe need to sort of understand that the potential for you to end up in bad shape and on the mat, with somebody sitting on your chest, that it's highly likely because you will slowly find yourself getting pushed into that position. So I've got 11 points here, and I'm going to rattle through them about 90 seconds a point, and really want to try and nail down some routines, some habits. So it's like a recipe. Okay, so what's the recipe for success? I know that if I don't lose my head, I will win, because I know what I'm called to do. I'm called to help guys and gals like you be successful to the level that you deem success is. Now, not all fighters end up like Conor McGregor. There's a lot of fighters that have an amount of success that they deem to be appropriate as it relates to their own dreams and goals. But certainly for you as an individual, you need to ascertain what that looks like. But certainly these 11 points will hopefully, I like, I think I've mentioned this before, I like black shirts because I go to the closet and I put my jeans on and my shirt. I have to think about what I'm going to look like. I'm not fancy. It's just like one less thing I've got to expend my mental energy on, because my brain has got a limited bandwidth. There's only so much that I really want to expend that energy on. So every day is a fight, and so I don't want to burn energy on frivolous things like that. So there's points within here that I definitely do all of these at some point. I'm always conscious of doing these. This is not like, well, I'm going to do this now because this is what Max said, right? This is what I'm trying to do. Is like, if you're a guitarist and I play a little bit of rock and roll, I don't go and think about where I'm going to put my fingers on that fretboard. I've spent enough time, I've invested, probably 10,000 hours in just working on how to play that instrument, how to play it well. And so there's a lot of muscle memory that's involved there. I don't have to think about it. So what I want you to do is to, maybe start with one or two of these. If you think, okay, I don't do that. I do that, but I don't do that. Well, then maybe start incorporating, because I believe that this will add value to your person as an individual. And if you do that, that will elevate your leadership ability, and therefore your capacity will enlarge. And of course, that will be good for your business. So, point number one, we're going to 90 seconds a point. Here we go. Establish a morning routine. Start your day with a consistent routine that includes activities, if you're into it, meditation, exercise. You might listen to podcasts. You might read a book. And the reason we do that, is that it sets a positive tone for the day that helps clear your mind. It's like, right, I need to set in stone what it is that I'm doing today. And this is why we don't just do this. Is why this is a daily routine. This is a daily checklist. It's like my daily get started activity. This would be at the top of the list. And so for me, despite what happened on the weekend or whatever might have happened on the day before, every morning that I show up, I got to get my head straight. So if you pulled up my podcast, I love the snippets that I see, that Joe Rogan does, on his podcast, and I think he's an awesome dude. But for me, there's more entertainment value there. But for me, I'm always either listening to audiobooks or I'm listening to podcasts that are relating to business, and particularly in the areas of franchising, and certainly, in the areas of, say, marketing, those sorts of things, business development. That's I've got to be at the top of my game. So that's part of my morning routine. Second point there, manage or prioritize your self-care. It should be a not negotiable part of your routine. What you're trying to do is avoid the overload, right? So this is about knowing where your limits are. Get enough sleep, eat nutritious. Like, all of these things are kind of like, yeah, I know that. But knowing is, if you know and you don't do, then you don't know. To know and not to do is not to know. And so what we've got to do is we've got to be a little bit more proactive in what we do and how we do it and what we think about. So it's like, these are great ideas, but if you don't implement, this is why Gary Vaynerchuk talks about ideas are shit, execution's the game. So we've got to go do that. So you want to eat nutritious and get enough sleep. Make sure you're hydrated. I mean, it's simple as this. For me, when I heard about this, the power of hydration, I know it seems weird, but I got a half a liter bottle sits on my vanity, and the first thing I do when I hit that bathroom is to just knock off half a litre of water. I'm like, I don't feel like drinking it, but I just know that hydration is key. And then, engage in activities that bring you joy and relaxation. So for me, yesterday was a public or a stat holiday. And on Sunday, I sort of worked pretty hard in the yard there, finishing off that chicken coop for the missus. And but yesterday I sat there and watched V8 Supercars. They are racing in Tasmania in Australia, and that was, for me, that's a really good recharge. I love having the roar of the V8s in my cans, and as I watch, spend 6 hours watching V8 Supercars. So that, for me, that provides joy and relaxation because I'm a motorsport buff, okay? So you need to find what your things are that bring you joy and relaxation. And see, what we're trying to do is just declutter and clear our heads and give ourselves the inspiration to be able to go, okay, it doesn't hurt that bad. I've got to empower myself to be able to handle shit that comes down the pipe the next day. Right, point number 3, set clear goals. Define specific achievable goals for different areas of your life. You got to break them down into smaller, actionable steps, and clear goals provide direction, focus, and a sense of purpose. Folks, if you don't have a sense of purpose in your life and you lose that, then there's no reason, and I say this with a lot of caution, then your purpose for living is now non-existent. And folks, when you get into that nosedive and you get into that position, that's a dangerous place to be, and I would encourage you to ask for help. Put your hand up, because I've seen it one too many times in my life where guys have just particularly the guys, kept to themselves, and then things haven't ended well for them in their business. So and not massive goals. This is probably not the time to really have the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. If you're in a dip or a valley, understand this. It's not what you're going through, it's where you're going to. And you just need to make sure that you don't take your eyes off the prize. There's many a story about the underdog that makes it out the back end. A setback is a setup for a comeback. I think Vince Lombardi said that. And so what we want to make sure is we do now, and this is where we'll get down this list a little bit, but this is where, if you're in a really serious, low point in your life, you've got to put your hand up, you've got to ask for help, because this is, you're going to have to really dig deep to be able to put this together. Now, if you're on cloud 9 and you're just like kicking ass and taking names, then you will find implementing these 11 or so habits into your routine quite easily. Right, so make sure you define those specific goals and make them small, achievable. Don't go and try and bite off more than you can chew. Just because I'm telling you, what brings you happiness is progress or some level of achievement. I know when I built the chicken coop, pretty happy about that. It's just those sorts of things. I even said to the missus, I need to do more of this because I know what it does to me as a human. It makes me feel good because I'm bloody good with my hands and I'm a well-skilled carpenter, really overpaid, really overrated for making chicken coops, but it's one hell of a chicken coop. So, figure out what is going to make you, what's going to make you happy. Right, declutter your workspace. So most of you guys and gals, do have an office or may have an office, or even if it's in your home, you got to make sure you organize your physical environment to create a calm and clutter-free space. If you go into my office now, it's kind of like organized chaos, but my direct workspace is very uncluttered. I make sure that everything's got a place, and I do not need a build-up of shit on my desk. Also, then, as tradespeople, what makes me happy is to be able to walk in the back of my trailer and everything's on a rack there, everything's on a hook there, everything's on a shelf there, and I can walk in and grab exactly what I want. The worst thing I've got to do is go and dig down the bottom of shit to find stuff. So declutter your workspace. A clean and tidy environment will promote mental clarity and reduces the distractions. That's a very practical thing for you to do. It's very similar to the Navy SEAL that talked about making your bed in the morning. If you want to change the world, make your bed. Okay, point number 5: embrace regular exercise. So again, this is something that I find difficult to do. I am not, I've tried the CrossFit, didn't have a lot of success there because my mental attitude is not in the right spot as it relates to that. I did the gym thing, and my priority was actually weight loss, and so I wasn't getting results, so I was a little bit disillusioned and disheartened with that. So I figured out I had to go and figure out for myself what was sustainable, what could I do to drop 20 pounds, which I've been successful, but I've got another 10 to go. And it's quite simple. It's just run a calorie deficit. Make sure that I get, at least 5,000 steps a day, if not 10,000. I know on Sunday I did 12 and a half or nearly 13. And just watch that calorie intake and make sure you just eat nutritionally. And that's really, for me, if I can park at the deep end at, say, Home Depot, and I've got to walk all the way across the parking lot to go to Home Depot to go inside, I will. I never look for a close parking spot because I'm just thinking, well, it's going to take me an extra 3 or 4 minutes to walk in, big deal. I get my steps up. So you've got to figure out, how you're going to get some regular exercise. Now, if you're out in the tools swinging a hammer, I know that when I've spent a couple of days on the tools with one of our general contractors, it's nothing for me to get 10,000 steps. So we're good. So if you're on the tools, I think you're going to get enough exercise there. But if it's the exercise that if you want a specific type of exercise, then you should go do that. So exercise boosts endorphins, increases energy levels, and improves overall well-being. I would agree with that. Okay, point number 6, manage your time effectively. Develop effective time management skills by prioritizing tasks, creating to-do lists, and setting realistic deadlines. Now, really, for you as a general contractor, if you're managing 3 or 4 projects on the go, your head will be bursting, especially if you're in the renovation game. I know you can manage more new home projects, there's no question, because the stages are very much predetermined. But what we find in renos is that there's things that you can find throughout the build process which throws a little bit of a wrench in the works. And a lot of the time, the clients will come to us and go, hey, now that you've taken out that interior wall, I'd really love an exterior window facing the backyard, or whatever the case may be. And that does create a little bit of a headache for the builder. And so, you've really got to make sure that you are really creating lists of things, and, even communication between clients. There's nothing worse than it's like, what was that conversation about, when if you had to go into either your CRM or your job management system, you could have just typed in some notes and you would see what we're supposed to be doing is using, tools. Tools give us leverage. Leverage gives us lifestyle. So we really want to manage our time effectively. So this helps reduce overwhelm and provides a sense of control over your schedule. So this is an ongoing effort, guys and girls. There's no point in signing up for this special piece of software that's going to help revolutionize your time management, and then you don't use it. It's like having a brand new power tool in your trailer and you don't pull it out and use it. So you got to manage your time effectively. I think you can block out places in your calendar to make sure that, okay, on this day, I've got to make sure that we're sorted as far as how we go about organizing our month. Perhaps there might be some critical deadlines, some billing times, things like that. And that's really powerful if you can get that sorted out. Right, point number 7. This one's a biggie. Practice gratitude. I think that a lot of the time we get, and it's sort of a natural process. It's like we always worry about me, or you always worry about you. And a lot of the time we are constantly striving for that goal or that achievement or that level of business or that number of sales. And there's just things in life, this is why I love getting out and just working around the house sometimes, because I flick the radio on and I get to work, and it gets me, it's actually a time where I can think about the things that are important in my life that money can't buy. And so what I, encourage you to do is to take time each day to reflect on the things you are grateful for. So cultivating the gratitude shifts your focus towards positivity, increases contentment, and boosts your confidence. And this is what I think that is, I've seen a lot of good guys that have been, the term or the statement that I might say is they've gone from a rooster to a feather duster. And I thought that was quite an obvious statement, but sharing that with some of the team in the office, they're like, what does that mean? Well, it means, at one point you're sort of standing there like you own the world, and then the next thing you know, you're on the end of a stick and your feathers are being used as a duster. So, I think sometimes we've got to just take stock, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to break through. Now, if you're finding life difficult in your business, it may be because the universe is now putting some pressure on you because you want to break through and you think it's going to be a walk on easy street. Well, it ain't ever a walk on easy street. So what it's doing is it's the resistance that builds your muscle mass. So in business, if you are going to go and get to the top of that mountain, then it's going to take a lot of work to get there. So part of really energizing yourself is to actually go, no, life is good. There's a lot of things that I've got in my life that money can't buy. And for you, it might be just, I haven't cracked the business thing yet. I haven't cracked the $1 million mark. I haven't cracked that. And you know what? It's just money. This is why business is an infinite game, guys and girls. So, be grateful for the things in your life that money can't buy, the relationships you have with family and friends and things like that. And then use that as fuel to then go, okay, now that I've got everything in order at home, there's nothing worse than coming to work and shit's going on at home. And you might relate to this. You might say, yeah, I know what that's all about. When you've got stuff in order, when your home is in order, business is actually easier. I know for me, with some of the challenges that I face, if my home life wasn't in order, I would have a lot more challenge, in my life, and a lot more stress on me. So, if you've got to be able to figure that out. Right. Now, point number 8, learn continuously. Engage in a lifelong learning, in lifelong learning to expand your knowledge and your skills. So read books, take different courses, pursue hobbies that challenge and stimulate your mind. So, I have this saying, I think I stole it from Warren Buffett: the more you learn, the more you earn. And so continuous learning enhances confidence and provides mental clarity. And I know in business today, if we use some of those principles from, back in the day, when we were kids, then really you've got to evolve. And part of that evolution is getting access to, what we are doing in business today is different to what it was 5 years ago. And so, with digital and online and AI and all this sort of stuff, it really is revolutionizing the way we do business. So, learning about these things really creates something fresh. I like to learn. Matter of fact, I'll stand on a job site, and I might have talked about this already. But anyway, the guy dropping the windows off, I come from a place where we use aluminum windows. The vinyl windows we need here because of the hot and cold and the expansion, etc., like that. Like, it was interesting to talk to this guy who'd been in window installations for 35 years, and he was just a wealth of information. And so I was just kept asking him questions about the technology. And so, because that's naturally in me to ask questions. Questions are the answers. So, it was really an interesting, quick 5 or 10 minute conversation I had with the delivery guy. So there you go. Learn continuously. Point number 9, surround yourself with positivity. Surround yourself with support and positive individuals who uplift and inspire you. You are the sum total of the 5 people, or you have the net worth, or what's that saying? You have the value, or you become the value of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. So you just need to make sure that you surround yourself with positivity. There's enough negative coming at you anyway. And this is why such a really, surround yourself with support and positive individuals. So you've got to seek out these humans that actually mesh with you as a human, and those folks that are a positive influence on you. So when you join the Smith & Sons team as a franchise operator, it is that core of individuals that are all wanting to achieve the same thing in their business life. And it's great because there's, even in this town where there's 3 operators, you've got this camaraderie. It's not a competitive type atmosphere. It's like, hey, this worked for me, or hey, how do you, they can ask questions of that group. That's the kind of positivity and the uplift. We don't, in this world, it's like, I've got to stand on that guy's head and that guy's head to get ahead. And so we've got to make sure that, that's really a negative energy. It's not a positive energy. So surrounding yourself with positivity is always a good thing. Pretty basic one. Point number 10, take breaks and rest. Allow yourself regular breaks throughout the day to rest and recharge. I love it. The sun's not shining out here at the moment, but, something that I value more than I've ever valued before is the sunshine and getting that vitamin D. In Oz, we do not have a problem with that, not where I grew up anyway. But here I really appreciate getting out and getting amongst it and really having a good time, and just enjoying a bit of a downtime. I know that for me to get through the day, you've got to just unplug for a second and go and clear your head. So just make sure, maybe you can do that with a drive between jobs, and you just pull up at a Tim Hortons if you're in Canada, grab a coffee and just pop the door open and just sit there and, just take a break. Just unplug for a second. That can really help. Taking short breaks from work or the mentally demanding task helps prevent mental fatigue and promotes productivity. Sometimes you can just, by taking a step back and chilling out, you can actually get some clarity for sure. I know that probably I'm my most creative is first thing in the morning, obviously, because I haven't been screwed up by the day yet. So that's super important. Look, the final point number 11, reflect and review. Set aside time regularly to reflect on your progress, review your goals, and make necessary adjustments. I think that it's a challenge for us business guys and gals to set goals. I get it. What is more challenging is when you don't hit the goals, you've got to have the security and strength to actually reset the goal and know that, damn, I didn't make that, I didn't hit that achievement. I failed at that. but then, resetting and reassessing and reviewing why you didn't hit those goals is a good thing. So this habit will help maintain clarity, provides a sense of accomplishment, and keeps you on track. So I really don't think with as it relates to reflect and review that it's a negative thing. I think that, like Conor McGregor had to reflect on why he failed in the octagon, why he got choked out in that probably the second to last event before he broke his leg there. It's like, what happened with that? What happened with that? And then that really inspired him to train so hard. And then, of course, when he got in the ring, he had that, unfortunate accident where he broke his left foot or left ankle, and that cost him the fight. It was a TKO. So, and that was the third time he'd faced that guy. So, remember, it takes time to build new habits. It's not going to happen overnight. Start with one or two at a time and gradually incorporate others into your routine. Consistency is key for long-term benefits. Remember, business is an infinite game. You can prepare this year for maximum or increased success next year. An axeman never loses time sitting there sharpening his axe. Folks, if you've got to just get through this year and pull out as many positives you can in a very foundation laying or preparation time, then use it. Accept that your numbers may not be as good as what they should be. Do a gap analysis. Look at why your business is not producing the results it needs to, and then just take stock of who and where you are. Look at where the gaps are in you as a person as well, not just your business, and you will find that you will, I think using that approach where you're developing those routines on a daily basis will help you in your business. Hope that helps. Remember, shoot across to Business for Builders VIP Facebook group. If you're a good sort, I'll let you in there. Join that group. Check us out on, you probably listen to us on YouTube here. If you're not, don't forget the podcast. We're going to do, we're obviously doing Q&As on TikTok every second Friday. And that normally goes around the 5:30 mark, sort of Vancouver Pacific Standard Time. And that's a really good time where we get into some questions and put out some really good content. So I don't think I've forgotten anything else. Have a great day. Go build a kick-ass business. I will see you on the next episode. Cheers.